In this lesson I'll show you how to separate our model into several pieces. We have some HD geometry that we're using for the face, and we don't really need all that data for the body. So I'll show you how to split up the head and the body and maintain that high level of detail even in the viewport, so you can actually see that stuff. So first thing you want to do is go down to your lowest subdivision level. Okay, I'm going to Shift Control drag and Shift Control Alt drag that off. Okay, and I'm going to hit Control W to auto group visible. I'll show you what that's doing. And then I'm going to Control Shift drag again to show the rest of it, and I'm going to group visible again just in case we had polygroups in the hands and stuff like that. Okay, so now we have everything into subgroups. I'm going to hit D until I go back up to the highest subdivision level, and I'm going to hit, instead of hitting Sculpt HD, just put your cursor over the face and hit A. Just pause the video for a second while it did that. So it brought in all of our HD subdivision geometry. We're looking at it right now so we can sculpt it, and it did it in this kind of radius thing because it doesn't have the memory to do it for the whole body. It just does it from a radius out from where you point. So we have HD geometry on the face now. All we're going to do is we're going to clone this subtool. Then could turn off Sculpt HD. And Shift Control click on your body and Shift D, walk all the way down to the low subdivision level. I'm not quite sure why it's not letting me delete hidden, but we can just go back to the highest subdivision level again, clone this. So now if you look in this panel here, we have our old tool with 3 subtools in it, and we have Assassin Body 6. We're going to delete hidden, so it says it wants to be at the low subdivision level. All you got to do is hit delete lower in the geometry tab. It's going to delete all the lower subdivisions, and then just hit delete hidden. Okay, I'm going to do kind of the same thing in our HD geometry. Remember, we have these 2 polygroups. Okay, we're going to delete lower, Shift Control click the head. It's taking a little while, and delete hidden. Okay, so now we have the head and the body. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this body, append the head, and what you can see we have now is the HD head with all the nice detail on the pre-HD body, and all our HD geometry is gone. The history of it is gone. When we cloned it, it kind of lost all that. And if you want, you could do the same thing with the hands so that you can separate the hands. Now the reason I didn't do this earlier is because I like to sculpt everything being one object so that I don't have to mess with any seams or anything like that. At this point you wouldn't be able to see if there was a seam there, and in the end I'm going to have a scarf there anyway. So you can also plan kind of where you want your seams to be based on what your character is doing. If I want, I can go back to my assassin body. I can merge down the eyeballs and the eyelashes. and then I can go back to my combined assassin body and append those eyeballs. So now we have the eyeballs, eyelashes in there too. Now watch, if you want to get the geometry back, all you have to do is go to geometry and reconstruct subdiv. Since this had subdivision before, it's the quads are all subdividable. I don't know how to explain that. It was made up of larger quads, so when it does this reconstruct subdiv, it looks for that not the history, but the ability to break it up into larger quads, and it has that ability because that's the geometry it started out with. If I were to go in and delete a part of this that didn't really match up to the original seams, you remember how we went down to the lowest subdivision level to do that? You have to do that, or it won't go any lower than the lowest subdivision you used to cut it up into polygroups, if that makes any sense. You can do the same thing here. I'll click that to go to there and reconstruct subdiv. I'm just going to pause this while it does that. So it takes a little bit, but see, we have all that old construction history. So now if we want to make like a big change, we could do that without having to do it all in the highest subdivision level. Now you can go to your old tools here just to save space and go to subtool delete. And you can hit delete all to just delete that entire tool and delete this head. If you've got all the hard drive space in the world, just keep huge files, but these ZBrush files get so big. It's just how much safety net you want to have compared to how big the file sizes are. Alright, so now we got this thing separated out, and we have all this great detail that we sculpted in HD baked into our face. In the next lesson, we'll start putting hair on this character. Thanks for watching.